Hi, everyone. My name is Meg Edwards, and I'm a GTD coach, and I am absolutely thrilled today to be able to have a conversation with Liz and Allan, who I coached about a year ago, to just share with our GTD Focus community about what your experience was with the coaching and how it's been in this last year. What have you noticed? Where do you think you're going with your GTD practice? And also, what brought you to even explore GTD coaching when you did? So please introduce yourselves and we can go from there.
So I'm Elizabeth Baltodano, Liz. We own a family business of uniforms. It started off with my parents, and it's in the next generation with my sisters and their husbands as well. We have four girls, so we have a busy life. They all play sports, and a dog. So our life is there's no work or family. Everything is together. So that's a little bit about us.
And my name is Allan Baltodano. I'm the husband, and this is something for us that it's very true to us and to our heart because of our busy and crazy lives that we currently have. So I think it's we feel very valued just to be able to be where we're at now from a year ago and be able to look back and say, hey, this is the steps that we've done and been able to create and implement and just understand where we want to be.
GTD came to us probably like 12 years ago when we found it, when I had my fourth child. And I was just going all over the place with having the baby and the business and everything. And Allan found something with, Googled online like everybody does, productivity, and he found GTD. And as, we started using it and practicing it, we found a lot of value to it. We always heard you on the podcast, and we loved your stories. You're very relatable with us.
Thank you.
So we just said, hey, let's do this, and we kind of looked at it as a gift to each other to both do it together. And yeah.
No, I think again, just to kind of highlight with the podcast, because we thought at the end, wow, maybe it's just us not getting the like the whole program, or just kind of I call it falling off of the wagon, right? It's kind of like, hey, you know what? It's something. How do we get back on, right? So we know the system, we know how to do it, but we always seem to, with busy day-to-day life, we always somehow fall off. But then the stories that you would relate to, how you were, it sounds very personable to us, and I think that with that education and just hearing it, just hearing the different stories that you can always come back to that and know that, hey, you don't always have to be 24 hours like on that task, but knowing how to get back, I think for us was a big help to know, okay, it's okay. We know that this is like the whole process for us.
Well, you present as many people that come to us who have known the Getting Things Done methodology for a while, and you had it pretty much installed. And we have this foundation program that really works on installation, and you were pretty good for that. So we moved you to the second program, which was the strategy program, which was then about implementation. What we also brought in to the coaching, which we've been doing over 2 decades, is the Kairos Assessment.
Yes.
Which is an opportunity to really understand what are your cognitive preferences, then to be able to install and implement the Getting Things Done methodology to your preferences. And the two of you have distinct preferences. We were doing our calls almost simultaneously. Like maybe
Yes.
we would have a call, then Allan would have a call, or Allan would have a call, and Liz would have a call. And I'd be like, I would say to them, it's like, okay, now, Allan, the way that we did this probably isn't going to work for Liz.
Yes, that's so true.
Because I think what happens with couples is one person gets introduced to GTD and they say, oh, well, this is the way I did this, or this was the tool, or this was the way I list. And the other person was like, well, that didn't work for me. So therefore, GTD doesn't work for me.
Right.
So the beauty of when we bring in the Kairos assessment is that it's the opportunity to be able to say, you all have a common language and a common framework. The 5 phases are still the same, the 6 horizons, the natural planning model, but the organization piece really is where that customization comes in, or how you do the weekly review can be really different. So there's this wonderful understanding of, great, you do it this way, I do it this way, but we still have that common language and framework to be able to work together. What were some of those specific takeaways at the end of the coaching? Because it was a 4-month program, so we were together more or less for about 4 months.
I think really like for me specifically was more about trying to find, first of all, I know that we set up like the proper tools, right? The proper tool that we feel comfortable with kind of going to, right? Because we were just all over the place, notepads, notes everywhere, right? So I think that for us was, I mean, at least for me, was very particular in, okay, hey, trust the system that we're trying to use, right? Go back to it all the time. And that took quite a bit of while to be able to kind of say, hey, we're going to use this particular system. And for me, I think that was kind of huge, that which allowed me to kind of not only personal wise, right, but it kind of led also to, it fell over to my business side also as well, like we were saying. So that has like allowed me to grow in very different aspects of it.
For me, it was actually doing the threefold nature of work that really opened my eyes to what the defined work was, and noticing that what we were doing and taking on was unsustainable, and allowed us to say, hey, we need to hire someone, and it could be for 20 hours, 30 hours, like we went through this, so that they can help us do all these things, because it wasn't like a defined, we didn't have that, like our roles really defined that way. So that was probably like one of the biggest things that was very eye-opening to us.
Did hire somebody during the coaching.
We did hire someone, and we gave her the book before she started working.
Yes.
So she can understand the lingo.
Yes.
And how's that been going?
Awesome.
It's been going great.
We keep saying to each other all the time, what would we have done if we wouldn't have had Kathy?
Right, because it leads you to that, again, to the predefined work and all that unplanned work, and we're just getting overwhelmed and thinking, wow, we just don't have enough time. Emails are always going to be there, so it's like, hey, what do we have to do to be able to get those roles, clear, right? And that even has led me personally, well, through the business also, to even hire our own like advisory board, right? Because that's another aspect of big decisions for the company. We even are currently implementing a new ERP program throughout the whole company. So this is, very high level hiring a board, hiring people, put them in that type of role and positions. But again, that only kind of happened because there was too much back and forth as far as that, would we take it on? Do I take it on? No, we have to hire a board, put those people in place and make sure that the planning, is kind of happening. So that's where all that falls into one, where I couldn't be happier of where I'm at now, because of really just even that stress that we used to have, right? Having it like on our minds, right? So that gives us some type of clarity that we could always refer back to.
Sometimes people feel like I should be able to do this myself, which is what I hear more than anything. I've read the book, it makes sense. So I therefore should be able to just pick the tool, go get everything off of my mind, go clarify and organize it, do my weekly reviews, and I'm good to go. Because you had 12 years, do you have any wisdom to pass on to people who might be listening to this?
Well, I just think if anybody's that considering, what are the next steps with the program, or it's just something that the longer you wait, I think it's the time that you lose, right? As far as trying to look at your whole system, look at how this particular program and training, it's something that really helps at the end of the day, because it would take a lot of time from us, right? So we would also get stressed out. Hey, what's going on? What's happening? We always seem that we were behind the ball, right? Meaning is that we never seem to be caught up, right? So in turn, what I think, I would suggest to like anybody that's thinking about the actual program is, look at what your needs are, right? What you're kind of looking for, what you're asking for. And the majority of the time, there's always things that you're overlooking and not really taking the time to be able to say, hey, what is it about me? Like we did specifically, that coaching was very individual, was for me, wasn't combined. So I took a lot of value to that because it made me answer my own questions. I think you always keep referring to, the clear edges. And that's something for me that I always keep referring to. I need my clear edges every day. It happens, I get, sometimes overwhelmed. I get that unplanned work all the time. So that for me allowed me to kind of just center myself, and kind of guide me, because yes, we knew the system well, great, but we weren't applying it, you know.
And I also think, to jump in there, was from the coaching, it allowed us to, like Allan mentioned in the beginning, you always jump off the wagon sometimes, and it's not always perfect, and give yourself grace, right? For when you do that. But this system and the coaching allows you to, you know, where you have to be. You have to come back to this. And coaching opened up my eyes better, because sometimes, like he says, you're always behind the eight ball. You feel like you're not where you're supposed to be at that moment, at that time. And, you know, you actually helped me feel more centered, more in where I was supposed to be doing at that time and at that moment. So take that leap of faith and just do it, because as time passes, you're just going to get busier, busier, busier. And this allows you to organize yourself into your role. Obviously in work, but as a mother, as a sister, as you know where you're supposed to be at that moment, as a daughter. So I would recommend this for anyone to do.
And we don't know if I could put like a value, right, of like what I could show you, or what I could, you know, show you guys of what that value could bring. Because for us, it's unlimited. For me to add an advisory board, a team, you know, to be switching ERP systems, to just, you know, and financially also, just for us, you know, to do like a whole bunch of other things that we were doing too. It's just huge for us, and we can't put like a dollar sign on it. You know, it's like, wow, it's something for us that just makes me really stress free in a way that I'm able to just relax and just know that I'm doing everything I can. For me, at the end, I felt also very, very honest to be able to talk to you about what was working for me and what wasn't working for me, right? And I think that's what kind of opened up my eyes of, wow, you know, we kind of have to, you know, see how it could work for our system, right? So I think that's where anybody that is looking at this, say, it doesn't have to be exactly you, but it's more or less what you kind of could comfort you in a level that would get your task done, you know, and feel like accomplished. So even for us now that we're gonna start heading, you know, we're ending this week at like on a busy week like always, and next week we're gonna be heading to Ireland, you know, to celebrate 23 years of marriage. We're able to kind of let go, right, and be able to say things are being done, things are being handled, things are being implemented, things are being addressed, right, because of this process that we put into place. And for me, it's just a sense of, wow, I could actually try to really enjoy myself when we're out.
In one of our sessions, I read to you something that I had journaled in the morning. I was out for my surgery, for my shoulder surgery, and then we went to Spain, and basically had been out of work for 3 weeks, but I felt comfortable because of the system I had in place, that allowed us to not, normally I would have been like, I can't believe this. It's been, you know, chaotic in that type of, you know, going away from work for so long, but it felt comfortable. I knew what I had done, and I knew what I needed to get to when I got back.
Yeah, not be so anxious.
Exactly.
And it's something that we always carry around. It's funny because we carry it around in our bags for our meetings, and it's something that we created like ourselves, right? We have our own little binder, you know, but it's things that we always like refer to, and it's things like, wow, we forget, we read it again, we didn't do this. When we read it again, it kind of brings us to, how did we miss that again? But it's something that for us makes us, you know, makes me feel comfortable in saying, wow, you know, it's something that I can always feel that it's there, but I know how to get back to it, right? I know how to go to it again, what I missed, which I think before the coaching, I didn't. Like, there was no way. I would just say, you know what, it's better. Maybe I'm not good for GTD, right? But then I'm like, no, that's not the case. It's just I need to go back to where the basics.
Thank you so much for taking this time to be able to talk to us, and thank you for really investing in this and taking that leap of faith and doing the coaching. It's just was so much fun with me working with you individually and seeing the benefits of it.
You're welcome.
Thank
you for having us.
For more GTD resources, please visit gettingthingsdone.com and David Allan's YouTube channel. For more information on GTD coaching, please email us at info@gtdfocus.com or visit our website at gtdfocus.com.